Yeah, so our agenda today, a brief overview, who is Boyum, so what is driving us, who are we, what is B1 InterCompany, so what it is doing, then I will have some use cases for you, where we can use it, and what are the processes we can support. Of course, we will see that in the live demo. So I will show it to you in the system, what it looks like, so that you get a feeling for it, how to use it, and how to work with it. And then in the end, I will also show you some of our partner resources where you can get more information about the solution, and also some other nice benefits that we have right now. So for example, the campaign to go. And in the end, like mentioned, we have the Q&A session. So feel free to post your questions in the Q&A part. Yeah, so my name is Julian Sanderman. I'm located in Germany. I'm a solution advisor at Boyum for 2 years now. Yeah, working with all our solutions that we have, but of course also for the intercompany ones. So that's why I'm hosting that webinar right now. By the way, the presentation and also the recording, we will share it later with you. So who is Boyum? Yeah, we've been there for over 26 years. Originally started with the B1 app, yeah, a solution to get a better usability for SAP Business One. And in the last years, we go bigger and bigger. We acquired different companies. So, for example, BEAS for the manufacturing side, Protomax for a warehouse management system. We launched the cloud apps a couple of years ago. Now they are renamed to the Netronic Manufacturing Suite. So our last acquisition was Netronic, a scheduling solution, and we merged all of our, let's say, cloud applications to the Netronic Manufacturing Suite. We are 100% partner driven, so we don't make direct business. So that's why we have you as a partner with us. And worldwide, we have more than 1,000 partners and over 130 countries where one of our solution is installed. So what is our strategy? Of course, we have a vision, we have a mission, and we have a strategy. Our vision is to inspire companies to get a sustainable growth and also advantages now and in the future. So we really want to work with you as a partner, and it's a partnership. And the mission is to be one of the, or not one of the most professional partner in our ecosystem. In our case, now it's SAP Business One, and we want to be a reliable supplier for you. So the solution is growing. So if some feature is maybe not there right now, it will be there in the future. And the strategy is that we have our product value chain where all of our solutions, all of our applications are chained together. So that not one of them, that all of them are working hand in hand. So what is the product value chain? Let's start on the left side. We have the innovation. Then we are going to the production. We have some quality inspection, logistics, and launch. So how can we support you there? We have here now an overview about which product can support at which stage. So Netronic Manufacturing, for example, it can support on the innovation, production quality. Perfume can support on the launch. And the horizontal solutions where we are talking today. So intercompany is a horizontal solution that's of course supporting on the whole process because it's helping you to maintain your master data, to sync different document types. So it's helping on the whole flow. So yeah, we bring your product to life. So let's talk about B1 InterCompany. So what is it? To sum it up, it's a software, it's SAP certified, it's designed for SAP Business One. It's only there for SAP Business One. That's of course why it's also named B1 InterCompany. And what it is doing. So it's helping you to streamline your data. So you have a seamless communication between all your subsidiaries. You just maintain your master data or your documents a single time. You sync it to the other subsidiaries fields that you want to sync, not everything. We'll see that later. So there's a workflow about what is happening. It's automated, and you don't have that many errors because someone is typing in wrong numbers. You have just one single source of truth. So yeah, why do you need it? We all know it. Data is getting more and more. You need more data in your system to do specific operations. You don't want to maintain it in every database, especially if you have lots of subsidiaries globally. There could be some data that is needed only in the headquarter, other data is needed in subsidiary 1, 2, and so on. And manual copying, yeah, it's not just a waste of time. Errors will happen there. We all know that. And with B1 InterCompany, we can automate that. So we can select what should be synchronized. Should it be synchronized all the time or maybe just a single time? And so there are less errors. So if I update, for example, one item in one database, it can automatically get synchronized, streamlined to all other databases and also the other way around. So what are the main benefits for working with B1 InterCompany? We're streamlining the transactions, so synchronizing data across all of our subsidiaries. So we have a common platform. So we are talking about the same data. While that is automated, it will also reduce the errors. So it's getting there automated. So there are no typo errors or other things that could happen. And of course, we can see what's going on in our other subsidiaries. So I can see the stock, for example, if it makes sense to order it in subsidiary 1 or 2. And of course, it can grow with us. So it's easy to connect another subsidiary, another entity if you are growing. So how does Business One work? So we can sync the master data. So what we can do is we can sync item master data, business partner master data, equipment cards, bill of material, and also the chart of accounts. So for each object, we have different types. Of course, UDFs are supported, but we have different types of what we can sync. Of course, there are mandatory fields, like the item code, for example. So we need to sync that one. But on the other side, I can select that for subsidiary 1, maybe I want to just sync specific fields, and for subsidiary 2, I want to sync different fields. So we can decide what we want to sync. And of course, before we can start the master data synchronization, we need to we need to map data. So critical data like the item groups or business partner groups, chart of accounts, and stuff like that, we can map it. But I will show that later in the live demo. On the business scenario side, we have actual these scenarios. So the invoice to invoice one. If you create one invoice, it will raise the AP invoice in the connected company. And the same with credit memo. The warehouse to warehouse, it's a more complex scenario. So you are buying something from one of your subsidiaries. You don't have it in stock or you don't have a warehouse at your location. So you're getting it from one of your other entities, and you will raise your PO. Intercompany will create a sales order. We will have the deliveries, the goods received, and in the end, the invoices, and that automated. The dropship, so that's, let's say, the warehouse one more combined. So a customer is buying something, you don't have it, you're getting it from one of your subsidiaries. So intercompany is taking part of the whole process to get it to the customer. And in the end, we now also have the financial consolidation. So journal entries, we can sync also these documents. In the latest release notes, so it's not just the latest one, but it's a summary of the stuff that has happened in the last months. So we have the financial consolidation right now. We can now also sync master data to multi-directional. So before it was always from the headquarter, so from one database to all other databases, but we opened it a bit, so not just a bit, we opened it, so now it can get synchronized from one database to another one and from another database to a different one, so that you can really build up your scenarios that you need to. Of course, we also worked on the performance, and that's also why the warehouse mapping came in, so that it's more easy to work with complex scenarios. Translations, yeah, they're also there. Of course, English, German, French, Spanish, and so on, and more to come. So if you're missing something, feel free to reach out to us so we can integrate some of the new languages that are missing. Yeah, talking about features or release notes, of course, we also want your voice to be heard. So if you're missing something, if you say, hey, I need that and that process, or that is missing, we have the feature request in our help center, so feel free to raise your request there. The roadmaps, I hope that most of you know that they are live. So we have them in our in Notion. So there's a link, of course, in the PowerPoint, which will be shared later, where you can see what's going on. So what will happen to B1 InterCompany? Are there already a feature coming up? And what is the focus there? Okay. So let's now go to our live demo. So let me just log on. Okay, so I have 3 SAP clients connected. So one is my headquarter, one is my subsidiary, and another one is my consolidation database. The whole software itself, it's totally integrated into SAP Business One. So you don't need an extra web service or anything else specific. We not just need one Windows service that is running in the background on your application server. And that on itself, it's integrated into the system. And of course, we have a shared database. So when I change settings in here, I have the same settings in my subsidiary. So what do I have for options here? So of course, in my database configuration, I select on which databases I want the solution to be active. So I could just easily add a new one, selecting one database, give it a username, indirect access license works here. This one is also posting the transactions, and then we are good to go. Of course, we need to launch the add-on on that database, but after that, we are good to go. Next thing we normally do is the license administration. And I like to mention that because the license is sometimes, let's say, a bit complicated to get what we are charging for. So in my system, we are seeing I have 999 licenses, and it will be the same in your system, also in the customer system. Why? Because we are charging per database. So if you buy that on, you have 5 databases included. If you need more than 5 databases, you can buy additional packs of 5. So let's make an easy calculation. If a customer needs 12 databases because he has 12 subsidiaries, he would buy the solution itself and then 2 additional packs, which would bring him to 15 databases. Okay, so next thing we need to do before we can start with the master data synchronization is a mapping. So this is normally a one-time job. I can select from where to where I want to map. So in my case, from my headquarter to my subsidiary, I select for my items what my item groups are mapped like. So in my case, it's the same logic because it's just a database copy. But for example, if I say I don't have these printers in that database, I can just say it's item group 100 items. So that item group will be used. It's the same logic for the other mapping of the data that we can do. But what I like to share is the price list. Because of course we can sync the prices and of course also the price list, because the price list is updating the item master data. But maybe I have one price list that I don't want to sync. So all others are getting synced. Price list 6 is not mapped, so this one gets not synced. So why do I want to do that? Maybe I just want the prices to be updated in 1 to 5 and 6. Yeah, I want to maintain it in my subsidiary. So we are not overwriting the price if it's not mapped. So once this is done, we can start with the master data synchronization. So I already had it in the PowerPoint what we can do. Of course, we can do it for business partner, items, customer equipment cards, bill of material, and the chart of account. In the source company, we have now the function to select from which database I want the process to start. So in most of my cases, it's coming from my headquarter. Of course, charts of account, it's coming from my consolidation database. Why? Because if I create a new chart of account, I will always do it in my consolidation database and then streamline it to the other connected companies. In the target, I select where I want that process to happen. So for example, if we take a look at the items, I have 3 scenarios. So one for my headquarter to my subsidiary 1, and also for my subsidiary 1 to my subsidiary 2, and another one for my headquarter to my subsidiary 2. So I somehow have a little loop in here because if I'm updating one item in my headquarter, it will update it in my subsidiary 1 and also in my subsidiary 2. But in my subsidiary 1, it will get also updated from the headquarter. So this one will also update it again in my subsidiary 2. So there's a little looping there, but this is for a reason. Why? Because there are some items that I just want to update in my subsidiary 1 to my subsidiary 2. If we now go to the fields, I can select the fields that I want to be synchronized. For example, the item code, that's mandatory, so we need to update this one. But there are other ones, the filing name that I want to sync, or maybe if the item is active or not. So I could just select it, and we already saw it when I activate this one, the frozen from remarks and to are getting activated also automatically. I have the option to select the synchronized state. So by default, this is add and update. So what does this mean? Whenever I add a new item or I update an item, it will get synchronized. But maybe there are some things like the name, for example, that I just want to add a single time. So I can select add, and now it's just getting added a single time. And if I update that item, it will not get synchronized. So we will not overwrite it if you change it in your connected entity. The override type, I can select different fields. So for example, I can say this is a constant value, so item name is always 1. Or I could say this one is a different property. So I could say my item name is always my foreign name because that's my translation. We have the possibility to work with SQL conditions. Before I show that to you, let me just open one item. And you see we have the little IC synchronize box in here. Whenever this one is checked, then this item will get synchronized. But maybe I have some items that I just want to sync to my subsidiary 1 and other ones I want to sync to my subsidiary 2. So I could work with SQL conditions, and we see already here that we have the condition where this one is active, and I could just extend it with saying, okay, and item code like starting with A, for example. So all items that are starting with A will now get synchronized. I could test it. I'm seeing it's 3 items. If I remove it, it's 4 items now. So a pretty easy, simple setup on my side, but we can work with the SQL conditions there. The must update trigger will trigger all items that are set to active to get synchronized again. So if someone destroyed some of the items, he messed around, I could start the whole process by triggering it for all items. So we are not waiting for an update event or an add event. Okay, so let's see this in action. So let me just resize it a bit and open this one. And let me open this item. So it's already looking pretty much the same. And let's say we are updating just a foreign name. I update it and refresh it, and there it is. So in the background, the process already takes place. The service saw that I've updated this item. We've seen it in the log. I go there, not the error logs. I want to see everything. It just takes a few seconds to load it. Okay. So going to everything, I see what was done, what was ignored. So actually, I think this was my update coming from my headquarter. I see where it got synchronized from the headquarter to subsidiary 1 and 2. And then, like mentioned, also from my subsidiary 1 to my subsidiary 2, because that's also an update event. Okay. So for the master data synchronization, that's pretty much the logic. So also for the other events like business partners or chart of accounts, I select the fields. UDF are supported, of course. Of course, they need to exist in all databases in the same way. So we are not creating them. Just for business partner, just to show you, there is also the IC synchronize box, and it's the same logic. Whenever you update or add a new one and that box is checked, then it will get synchronized. So let's start with the scenarios, how we call them, the processes, business processes. So what do we have here? So I can, of course, select the invoices that I want to have. So I've mentioned them in the PowerPoint. We have the dropship ones, the warehouse ones, invoice, credit memo, or credit note, and the financial consolidation. I give the description to see for which business partner it is or what it is doing, source and target again, enable it. I can sync the batches. This is only working for the dropship one right now because there the warehouse transactions are automated, and we have the option to use the PO update. So what is the PO update doing? I will show that also in the system later, but the basic idea is if the PO is still open and the sales order is also open in that process, if I update the PO, if I add another line, if I change the quantity, delete a line, it will also update the sales order. So let's start with the invoice one, just an easy one for the start. And we have some basic settings here. So what is our source customer and target vendor. So if I create an invoice with this customer, it will create an AP invoice in my subsidiary one with this target vendor. In the header fields and in the line fields, I select what I want to get, what I want to synchronize. Of course, UDFs are also supported here, but I don't have any in my database. So let's just create one invoice. For one item. By the way, this is only working for items, so it's not working for service type. Let's add this one. And let's check out. This is our intercompany relation. And it's the relationship map that we all know from SAP, but for intercompany. So I can see, okay, I directly created the AP invoice in my IC subsidiary one with that number, that is my customer, and that price. If I double click on it, it will also bring it up in my connected client. So yeah, there we go. I've just walked it up. Of course, I also have some other functions from this right-click menu. So I also have the possibility to look up the stock and available to promise for my connected company. So if I'm saying, okay, I don't know where this item is located, do I have the stock in subsidiary 1 or 2? I could just select and look it up and I see, okay, it's in stock there. So maybe I should have ordered it from subsidiary 2 and not from subsidiary 1. Of course, I can also do that from the item itself. So it's the same function here. Okay, if we now go on to the warehouse process, where we have the PO update activated, we have some more settings. So we can select the source and the target warehouse, or we can disable it. So if it's disabled, it's active for all warehouses. And I could also use the warehouse mapping. So if it's warehouse 1 to warehouse 1, then I could just use the mapping, especially if I have, let's say, multiple scenarios. If it's, yeah, a mapping, so otherwise I would need to create all scenarios for all warehouses, but if I can or want to use the mapping, I can just activate this one. Header fields and line fields, like before, I select what I want to have, and of course, grayed out ones are mandatory. So let's create one PO for our warehouse scenario. And let's say you're buying this item and also this one, 2 of this. Let's add this. And let's see, we have the sales order now. Just bring it up just to show you this is my sales order. Let's say, oh, I made a mistake. I just need one of this. And I want to add another line. So let's say we are also buying this printer. We're updating it and refreshing it in here. And it's also updated in here. The same if I delete a line. So let's say line 2, it's not needed anymore. Let's delete this row, update it, and refresh. There we go. The sales order is also updated for a deleted line. We could now go on with the process, deliver it out. Yes, it's all good. Receiving it. And we now have 4 documents, of course, 2 from the warehouse transactions, so the manual ones. Just drag and drop it a bit. And let's create the invoice. So like before, it's integrated in that scenario. So we just create it. And if I now open the intercompany relationship map, I will have 6 documents. We'll just drag and dropping them a bit. And the process is done. So I ordered something for my subsidiary, updated the PO a bit, the sales order, it got delivered, we received it in our warehouse, and the invoice was created automatically again on both sides. So we could now go on and take a look at the dropship one, which is the most complex one. We see we have a lot of more options in here. So we could use the doc num from the target when we create the delivery so that the customer just sees the right number. We can update the tracking number, or we can block the invoice from getting created automatically. So if that process should be still taken place in a manual way, we can enable this one to be disabled. And we can also use the ship to from the source sales order. So if I'm directly shipping it out from a central warehouse, I could use the ship to from the source sales order so that I have the customer's address. So let's start that process. So we are selling something to a normal customer. So let's say other technology is now buying something, and I activate the non-dropship procurement wizard. So let's say they are buying this printer, a delivery date is missing. Yes, 4 lines. And let's add this. So this is the normal SAP procurement wizard. Just click through it, and I'm now selecting my vendor, and I want to use the dropship one with stock. So this is my vendor for my subsidiary 1. And if I've made everything correct, I should see 3 documents in here. The procurement wizard created the PO, and the sales order was created from B1 InterCompany. And let's now go on. And let's copy that sales order to the delivery. And let's see what will happen. It will create all deliveries and goods receipts for me. So I will now see 6 documents in here. So I need to drag and drop it a bit. So I directly created the goods received in my headquarter to have the quantity in stock, but in the same second it created the delivery so that I can send it out to the customer. And I have the option to use the customer's address in that delivery node, so I can directly ship it out from my subsidiary 1, which is my global warehouse in my case. If I now continue with the invoice, it will also create the invoice for me. So I would have now 9 documents. I need to drag and drop it a bit again. But there we see it. All invoices, AR to the customer, AP on my headquarter, coming all from the AR invoice for my subsidiary 1. So that's the warehouse process. So let me just close one of these windows so that it's not too much. And let's take a look at the last one, my financial consolidation. So this is of course also running in the background, and we don't have a customer and vendor here, of course. We can just select the percentage, so how many percent of the amount of the journal entry should be created in the target database. So if it's 100% owned company, then of course it will be 100%. If it's just 80%, then we would just say 80%. We have the option to override the business partner codes with the control account. So if I don't have the business partners in my consolidated database. If I don't synchronize them, I have the option to overwrite the business partner codes. Header fields and line fields, like before, I can select what I want to sync. And then we can take a look at it. So I take one of my latest invoices. Actually, we can just use this one. And if I go to the journal entry, I can also open my relationship map. So in the background, the journal entry was created from the invoice, which was created from InterCompany. And InterCompany then also created the journal entry in my consolidated database. So if I open this one, of course, double-clicking would also work. But just to show you, it was created in here with the same numbers. And we have some UDFs in the journal entry in our consolidated database. So we see where it is coming from, what's the original database, the company's name, and the original transaction number. So you see my numbers, they are way higher here, but I can still look it up in my headquarter what it was like. Also on the line, I also have the original short name of the account. So if I need to create some reports, I could work with these UDFs, and the same with filtering options. So talking about reports, of course, we are supporting the Business One standard. So we have the UDFs. So what we can do, we can just use one of our selection criteria and say, okay, I only want to see it for the headquarter. So this will create the P&L just for the headquarter. If I deactivate the filter, I will see it for all. So I would also see it for my subsidiary one and so on. But this is just a crystal report that you as a partner could customize so that it would fit for your customer, you as a partner, of course. Last thing to mention on the journal entries is we can also mass trigger it like here, like in the master data, and this will synchronize all of the missing journal entries. So if you have journal entries from the past, you could sync it with it. But this will, of course, take a long time because we all know how many journal entries are existing in a system that is running for a couple of years. So this will take some time. So be sure that you really want to synchronize all of the journal entries from the past. So I've already showed the log, but let me just reopen it. So by default, this is my error log. So it is a reason why it is stated on error, because this is a working list. So if I have an error, for example, I have a lot from financial consolidation. Actual, I synchronized most of them, and I had problems that the booking period wasn't open. So I could have fixed it. I then can just go there and rerun it, so it will get processed. So I could directly go to the business object. But maybe you don't want to take a look at the log on every day or every week. So we have the option to set up internal messages. So whenever one message type is happening, for example, the item sync, me as the manager, I want an information, and maybe also me as a person, Julian, we are now getting an internal SAP message that a new item sync happened. And the same with the other scenarios, info or only if an error happens, so that I get notified if something is not working as it should. Okay, so that was the live demo. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. We also have some no limitations right now, but of course we are working on it to fix them. So for the financial consolidation, we require identical local currency because we are not allowed to write in the system currency. But we're also working on a fixed version on that so that the local or different local currencies are supported in the next release next month. And next month is actually in 2 days, so it's not that long. Multi-tenancy environments are also not supported right now, and that is planned for Q3 this year. Of course, this is not written in stone, so something can change there, but we have it in our roadmap, so we are working on it. So next part is our enablement content or enablement material. So for intercompany, of course, we have our normal partner resources where you can find PowerPoints, webinars, the trainings, and some nice sales tools. Also, in the upcoming weeks, our colleagues in Latin America are having some trained or live training courses, paid ones, which you could join. They're in Spanish or in English, and they guide you to set up intercompany in a good way, how it should look like, how it should work like, and you can find more details in that link that is in the PowerPoint, which we will share later. For marketing, we also have a campaign to go for B1 InterCompany. So we support you to get a campaign to get interest of potential partner of potential customers. So we have the details, the marketing material, and we generate the awareness and generate the leads for you with that one. So if you're interested, please contact your channel manager for more information on the campaign to go.